The 74-year-old president is experiencing symptoms.
That's right. It's been confirmed through his administration that he's experiencing mild symptoms, but they're not releasing much more information than that. The news was posted to Twitter last night by the president himself and then confirmed by his administration. But we're yet to see any kind of appearance, and there's discussion now that we may see a virtual appearance at some point, with plenty of comparisons being made to when British Prime Minister Boris Johnson originally came down with coronavirus. Now, you'll remember he did end up in intensive care for a few days, and it was touch and go. Comparisons are being made because of the age of the president, as you mentioned, in his 70s, but also his weight, which is a consideration when you're looking at coronavirus. But the White House seems confident that he will make a full recovery. His press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, had this to say.
I'm not going to get into the president's symptoms exactly. He's had mild symptoms, but he is hard at work. We're having to slow him down a little bit. He's been on the phone with Senator McConnell, Senator Lindsey Graham, been on the phone with Chief of Staff Mark Meadows talking about emergency declarations for states as well as stimulus. So he's hard at work despite the mild symptoms.
Now, of course, the business of government has to continue. There's been ongoing discussions about what implications this has for the defence of the United States and how that will operate. But we heard the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, he said that it's business as usual.
We're praying for the President and the First Lady, that they'll have a speedy recovery. We're taking this obviously very seriously, and we'll do everything we can to keep everyone safe. We take a lot of precautions. Yeah, I mean, we're measuring, trying to make sure we get some additional contact tracing on folks that have been to the White House. We're watching as the White House is doing its work as well. So, yeah, we'll certainly be careful.
Annelise, the second debate obviously won't happen. This turns his election campaign upside down. Look, it's just a few weeks away.
It's just 31 days here in the United States, and there is the potential it could go virtual, but it seems highly unlikely. That's not really the president's style. So this is going to really throw a spanner in the works for Donald Trump. His team has released a statement saying that all previously announced campaign events involving the president's participation are in the process of being moved to virtual events or are being temporarily postponed. Vice President Mike Pence, who's tested negative for COVID-19, plans on resuming his scheduled campaign events. Now, the interesting thing is to see what the Democrats are doing in this situation, because we've seen Joe Biden really staying away from in-person events up until this point because of the pandemic, favouring those virtual appearances from his home. Today, though, he has gone to Michigan for an event, and this is really unusual compared to his previous behaviour, but his campaign has said it's okay because he has come back clear from COVID. They've tweeted that Vice President Joe Biden has said, "I'm happy to report that Jill and I have tested negative for COVID. Thank you to everyone for your messages of concern. I hope this serves as a reminder. Wear a mask, keep social distance, and wash your hands." Now, of course, the other big discussion is the ongoing debate about a new round of stimulus in the US and jobs figures that have been increasingly under pressure. But so far, the Trump administration and its supporters have been saying that they think they can still continue working on this, even with the president in isolation in the White House.
I don't think it's going to have an effect. I think that the president will abide by whatever guidelines the doctors tell him. I am told he's a rather light case right now. I spoke to him last evening. I have not spoken to him today, although through the chief we're getting tasks coming down from the president, so clearly he's doing okay. And I think this will be over before long.
Now, Annelise, you've been doing a fantastic job. You've been in the States for quite some time now. This is an interesting irony, isn't it? We see Joe Biden running up the stairs off to Michigan. He's been called Sleepy Joe the whole time by the president.
He has, and this is really going to be riling the president, you'd assume. Now he's stuck in the White House and can't get out on the ground. He's been attending these rallies, many of them actually in defiance of the local coronavirus orders. Some have even had to pay fines, and the president's defied that to do it anyway. The really critical thing is going to be how badly he gets sick, because if he does experience mild symptoms and then comes out in a few weeks ready to hit the campaign trail again, it would really play into his supporters, his base, who haven't been taking the coronavirus seriously. I can tell you, when I've been out in those Republican states, as soon as you get out of the big cities, you barely see any masks, and that distancing really isn't there like you see in the big cities. For Joe Biden, though, this is going to be a big test. He's really been taking the high ground on this, staying back and avoiding that traditional campaigning because of the coronavirus. They haven't even had door knockers in a lot of states because they don't want to be seen to support that. So if he does start to come across as hypocritical, that's going to be a really big issue for him as well. So this is all really, I know we've said this a million times this year, but unprecedented times. It's going to be fascinating to watch.